Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We're standing here today in front of the Westchester County Correctional Facility, the very place where dangerous individuals flagged for deportation by federal authorities are held and then released back into our community because Ken Jenkins' reckless sanctuary county law. This is ground zero. This is where federal detainers are ignored. This is where Ken Jenkins has ordered our brave correctional and law enforcement officers to refuse to cooperate with ICE. And this is where public safety gets sacrificed to Mr. Jenkins' radical ideology. And just last month, we saw the cost again. According to media reports, federal immigration officers have made arrests around the county in places like Yonkers, New Rochelle, Mamaroneck, and Sleepy Hollow. Make no mistake, Mr. Jenkins' sanctuary county law has made us a magnet for violent, criminal, illegal aliens who know how to exploit a system where our laws are not being enforced. This is an invitation for these criminals to commit more crimes in Westchester as they know they will be protected from prosecution. This is insane and it must stop. It started in 2018 when Ken Jenkins, who's the architect of the so-called Immigrant Protection Act, aka the infamous Sanctuary County Law, and he built it and he promoted it and now he owns it. And he's still not being honest about it. Ken refuses to tell the truth about what the law actually does. He actually now denies that it makes Westchester a sanctuary county, even though that's exactly what it does. The law blocks the correctional and law enforcement officers and officials from sharing information with ICE. It prohibits honoring ICE detainers, leaving violent repeat offenders in the county when immigration officials seek to remove them. In short, it puts up a dangerous, unwarranted wall between law enforcement and ICE, and Ken Jenkins built that wall. This isn't speculation. Ken Jenkins literally said that ICE is not welcome here and even boasted that he is proud of Westchester's sanctuary status. Let that sink in. An elected official sending out an oversized glossy campaign mailer telling federal agents to stay out even when they're trying to arrest known violent criminal illegal aliens. Look what happened, in the country now. ICE agents are being attacked by violent rioters. The front runner to be mayor of New York City, Assemblyman Mandani, demonizes law enforcement and is a big champion of sanctuary policies, just like Ken Jenkins. And now the negative consequences for Westchester are growing. The federal government is preparing to withhold hundreds of millions of dollars from sanctuary jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal authorities. That's money Westchester will lose because Ken Jenkins' sanctuary law. That means fewer resources for law enforcement, for social services, for public safety, and for community programs. Because of one man's dangerous political agenda, and that man is Ken Jenkins. The most tragic example of where sanctuary policies can lead came in October of 2024, when a 15-year-old boy, a Somers student, was murdered. His 13-year-old brother and mother were shot and critically wounded. The accuser, Fernando Jimenez, was a previously deported Chilean national with a rap sheet. He was accused of a 2018 DUI and was arrested in Yonkers for assault. While the 2018 case was sealed, it is reasonable to believe that the perilous wall Ken Jenkins built between corrections and ICE meant Jimenez was never flagged for removal. He should not have remained in this county where he was allowed to stay, and now a heartbroken family is grieving an unspeakable loss. This family will never be the same, and neither will Westchester, and that's why we must act now. Today, I'm not just calling out a dangerous policy, I'm actually offering a solution. Because the Sanctuary County law was passed without going through mandatory public hearing and referendum, it can be repealed by executive order. And I have that executive order right here in my hand. Ken can actually go to my website at christineforcountyexecutive.com and print and sign the executive order right now. All it takes is a signature. If Ken Jenkins won't make Westchester safer, then on day one, I will. I want to thank you all for being here, and I'll take whatever questions you might have.
Can I ask you
Of course, Tony.
So there's an event in New Rochelle called Taste of Union.
Sure.
That highlights the Hispanic community.
Sure.
It's been canceled this year. And what I'm hearing from sources is there were just concerns on the part of the vendors that people might not show up because of that ICE enforcement in New Rochelle, International places, convention, as well as the concern sometimes people who have the legal right to be here being swept up as well. And so there's just apparently some concern and some fear. As you support ICE doing its job, how do you balance that with having a community event like Taste of Union Avenue? Should people be afraid to go to events like this?
You know, the answer to the question is that Ken Jenkins made Westchester a sanctuary, which was a magnet for violent criminal illegal aliens. I feel for the individuals who you're speaking about, but the reality is that if you are on a list that ICE needs to be concerned about your presence here for public safety, it would be much better if Ken Jenkins signed the executive order so that we could share our list, the list that he has, so that ICE knows. But at the end of the day, ICE has a job to do. We're not ICE enforcement. We're not sweeping anybody up. We're supposed to be sharing information, honoring detainers to keep the public safe. And that's why I have no pride of authorship here. Okay, Ken can sign this today. We can start to share information, and this way ICE can do their job. So, you know, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you know, and you're cavorting with known violent criminal illegal aliens, maybe you have something to be concerned about. Maybe you should watch who you're, you know, associating with. But basically, my whole, you know, press conference is focused on the fact that we must remove violent criminal illegal aliens. That starts with Ken signing that order, or myself on January 1, so that I can direct the Departments of Public Safety, Corrections, and Probation to start sharing that information and cooperating so that we can keep the public safe. We can't have any more innocent lives being lost to this. This is not...
There's a similar event coming up in Pensacola.
Okay.
A Hispanic Heritage Festival. Do you sense that there's an environment out there where people are avoiding things because they're concerned about being swept up?
I think there's some accuracy to that for sure, but like I just said, people who are here, you know, who aren't committing violent criminal acts, right, and aren't repeat offenders and aren't, you know, main targets for being evaluated in terms of whether they should be removed, you know, those are the individuals that I think should be concerned, and those are the individuals that, quite frankly, probably won't go to these events, you know, since ICE, to your point, is now has a footprint in some of our communities.
People who are here legally should feel safe to do what they want.
I think that people should go out and enjoy these events. These are fabulous events. We have a robust, vibrant, beautiful Hispanic community here, and we want, you know, the other truth to the matter is that when these individuals are preying on people, they're preying on the least fortunate in their own communities. So we want to protect them. We want to make the streets safer. That will make law enforcement safer. We don't want them coming into contact with these violent felons often. And by having the ability to have ICE come in with the cooperation, which has always been the case. And we're going to return to that normalcy if I'm blessed to be elected on November 4th and take office on January 1st, because I will sign that order as a first order of business. Well, ask Ken Jenkins. He's the one who created the traction. He created the Sanctuary County law. And what I would ask the media to do is to go and look up the fact that actually what he's done is he hasn't passed the law. He hasn't enacted it properly. It shouldn't even be in effect. So let me dive into that a little bit. So he went and passed a law without following a mandatory public hearing and referendum. That should be a headline for you guys. The reality is that the only reason these three departments are cooperating is because in the county charter, the county executive has the authority to direct these heads of departments, officials, and obviously the rank and file of those departments. So they're going to execute his orders, even if the law that was enacted wasn't enacted properly. You know, I'm here holding him to account. Obviously, part of the media's job is to also hold him to account. So again, this is a headline. He's making departments follow a law that's improper. It never went to the public for a referendum vote.
Have you asked the Republican and the conservative on the county board to challenge the legality of the board?
We're looking into how to challenge that. That's a great question. Thank you. And it needs to be. We have to return to some sanity and some common sense. No, I wouldn't say that Westchester is a lawless county. I think that the threat of Assemblyman Donnie possibly becoming mayor, that will creep up here and we will have more of a problem. But the reality is that Westchester residents deserve to be safe in their communities. And the reality is that we have a lot of concerns. We have some of the concerns I spoke about answering Tony's question. We also have concerns of people who are just don't feel confident that they're safe. We've seen incidents in Yonkers and some of the urban areas, and this has to stop. People deserve to feel safe in their communities, and they deserve to have their tax dollars, which are leveraged locally and federally, to have cooperation. The wall that Ken built must be taken down. We need that cooperation to return in order to give everybody some peace of mind. Including people who have concerns about their own public safety and those who are concerned that they might be swept up. This needs to stop, and Ken was the architect of this, so I need to hold him to account. I'm going to count on you guys to help me in that effort, and I appreciate, again, all the questions, and if you have anything else, I'm happy to.
I just have one more question.
Of course.
Jenkins, the president said that Westchester is not a sanctuary county because of this. What law would you choose that would be?
Yeah, so I saw his Marsha Kramer interview, and he's drawing this very strange distinction between civil and criminal. And I think he's he's basically just lying. The reality is that he says that when it comes to criminal, the county cooperates, but not with civil. And I think what he's conflating here is on the civil side, he's relating that to an ICE detainer, where he's not cooperating, okay? And on the criminal matter, he has to cooperate because that's a signed judicial warrant. Everybody has to cooperate with judicial warrants. He can't thread this needle. He cannot thread this needle, and I'm not going to allow him to. So I did see that interview, and it is hogwash.
So do you have a general message to the Hispanic community?
I have a general message to the Hispanic community. You're welcome in Westchester. You make our community a better place, and we're interested in your public safety as well. And the individuals who are here who shouldn't be, who are repeat violent offenders, criminal legal aliens who prey on this same community, we're all working together to make sure that everybody has some peace of mind, and that's what public safety is. And I'll be honest with you, I'm very proud that the PBA of Westchester County, Inc. has endorsed me twice because of my pledge to repeal this dangerous law. And they're looking at it from the public's perspective and from law enforcement's perspective. I've had parents of police officers saying that they're very concerned, and I said, yes, when we clean the streets up and get these people out, your child who's an officer will be safer. They won't be coming into contact, and ergo everybody will be safer, including the Hispanic community. So that was a good question. Thank you, Tony.